You were told to hustle, to chase the dream, to make something of yourself. But here's the terrifying truth. The version of success you've been chasing was designed to keep you obedient. You think you're building a life, but you're really building a cage. And the more you achieve, the emptier you feel. This isn't burnout. This isn't laziness. This is the soul realizing it was lied to. From the moment you could walk, they started whispering it. Work hard, play by the rules, do the right things, and you'll be successful. They didn't define what success meant. They didn't ask what you wanted. They just pointed to a path and said, run. So you did. You studied, you sacrificed, you tried to be the best, and maybe you even got there. But when you arrived, you felt nothing, because the promise was false. It wasn't your dream, it was theirs. Success sounds like freedom, money, options, admiration, but for most people it's the opposite. It's a leash with a gold clasp. It's exhaustion in a suit. It's a desperate need to stay ahead, even if no one's chasing you. Why? Because success today isn't about meaning. It's about metrics, likes, followers, revenue, status. It's not about who you are, it's about how you look. And the moment your identity becomes a brand, you've stopped living. Now you're performing. Modern society did something brilliant and evil. It took what we longed for, meaning, connection, truth, and swapped it for something shinier, recognition. So instead of being good, you tried to look impressive. Instead of pursuing depth, you chased visibility. And instead of growing, you started competing. This isn't your fault. It was designed this way, because when people are addicted to validation, they're easy to control. Dangle a trophy in front of them and they'll run themselves into the ground. Here's the dirty secret. Most people aren't chasing success. They're running from shame. They're terrified of being average, terrified of being forgotten, terrified of being nothing. So they overcompensate. They build empires to avoid their own emptiness. But no matter how far they get, it's never enough. Because if your success is driven by fear, you'll always feel like a fraud. And deep down, you'll know it. You felt it, that strange emptiness right after you achieved something. You got the raise, you hit the number, you crossed the line, and for a second, you smiled. But underneath, a quiet voice said, "Is this it?" That's the deception. The system told you happiness was just one goal away, but it always moves the finish line, so you chase again and again, until one day you realize you weren't chasing success. You were running from stillness. You don't need a drug to be addicted. You just need something that numbs the pain and keeps you moving. Success does that. It gives you just enough dopamine to keep going, but never enough peace to stop. You tell yourself, if I just work harder, things will feel better. But that's not discipline, that's denial. You're not building a life. You're distracting yourself from having to face it. And the world applauds you for it, because your self-destruction looks like ambition. They told you were special, gifted, full of potential, and instead of that being freedom, it became pressure. Now you can't rest, you can't slow down, because you fear wasting your potential more than wasting your peace. But what if potential is just another trap? What if you're not here to prove how far you can go, but to remember who you are? Schopenhauer said, "We forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to be like other people." That's what this success does. It strips away your truth so you can become acceptable. And that's not potential, that's sacrifice. But what if success was never the enemy? What if the real danger was how modern life defines it? In the next part, We'll expose the psychological conditioning that made you believe achievement equals worth, and reveal the silent cost you've been paying every day. You've been tricked into believing your value comes from what you do, not who you are, that you must justify your existence with output, grades, promotions, achievements, as if you were born in debt, and everything you create is just a down payment on being allowed to breathe. This is how systems control people. They turn your identity into a resume, your worth into a scoreboard, your life into a performance. It's not accidental, because a person who doubts their worth will always keep working. We glorify the grind. We wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. But have you ever stopped to ask, why? Why are you so proud of being tired? Why do you feel guilty for resting? It's not because you love hard work. It's because you're afraid of what silence will say about you. The truth is, many people are working hard, not to build a life, but to avoid feeling empty. So they fill their schedules instead of their souls, and society claps because a burnt-out citizen is a compliant one. There was a time when success meant something real, mastery, wisdom, contribution. But today, success means attention. It doesn't matter if your work is hollow, as long as it's visible. It doesn't matter if it helps, as long as it sells. So we praise the loud, the viral, the polished, while the deep, the slow, the thoughtful get ignored. And then we wonder why we feel disconnected. Success no longer points to something noble. It points to whatever the algorithm rewards. Modern success is a trick mirror. You think you're rising, but you're really just running faster in place. Because no matter how much you earn, you're still stuck in a game you didn't design. You bought the house, but now you have to keep the job you hate to pay for it. You got the status, but now you must constantly defend it from competitors. You became your own jailer, and the keys, they're in your own hand, but you've been too scared to use them. Because what happens if you walk away? Who will you be if not successful? Here's something no one tells you. The more you climb, the more imposter syndrome you feel. Why? Because deep down you know the ladder was placed against the wrong wall. You did what they said, you followed the map. But when you look around, the destination doesn't match your soul. So you smile for the photos. You update the LinkedIn, you pretend to be proud, but inside, you wonder if it was all a beautiful mistake, and that whisper of doubt never leaves you. Modern success trains you to feel less. Ignore your body, suppress your intuition, outrun your pain, and over time you become numb. You don't feel joy, just relief. You don't feel peace, just distraction. And that numbness becomes your baseline. But that's not aliveness, that's survival. The real tragedy isn't failing to succeed, it's succeeding and still feeling empty, because that means you've been taught to chase the wrong thing. One day, you say, one day I'll slow down, one day I'll feel fulfilled, one day I'll live on my own terms. But one day is a lie told by people who benefit from your delay. Because if you believed you were already enough, you'd stop obeying their game. You'd stop buying things you don't need. You'd stop chasing goals that don't heal. You'd stop performing and start living. But first, you have to grieve. Grieve the dream they sold you. Grieve the self you built to chase it. Grieve the years spent running. Only then can you choose something real. But what is real? If success isn't what we thought, what are we really searching for underneath it all? Now, are you ready to go deeper into the hunger behind the hustle and to find out why redefining success might be the only way to finally feel alive? You think you want success, but what you really want is to feel whole. Success is just the symbol. What you're actually chasing is respect, security, love, meaning, peace. But instead of asking how to feel, you've been taught to achieve more. And here's the tragedy. The more you chase symbols of worth, the further you drift from actual worth. You don't need more. You need truth. This question terrifies most people. What if there's nothing left to prove? No one to impress? No race to win? No audience to perform for? Just you, in your raw, honest self. If that thought makes you uneasy, that's the wound. You've spent so long becoming someone that you forgot how to just be. Schopenhauer once said, "It is difficult to find happiness within oneself, but it is impossible to find it anywhere else." This is what modern success ignores. It trains you to seek externally what was always meant to be found inwardly. Success is metrics, fulfillment is meaning. Success is visibility, fulfillment is peace. Success is how they see you. Fulfillment is how you feel in silence. Most people confuse the two. They think achievement will bring contentment, but often success just makes the absence of fulfillment more obvious, because now you have everything and still feel nothing. It's not the lack of success that hurts. It's the realization that it was never enough. Even this idea, do what you love, has been poisoned, because in modern culture, love isn't enough. You have to monetize it, scale it, make it impressive. So now, even your passions become performance. You can't write unless it gets likes. You can't create unless it goes viral. You can't rest unless it's productive. This isn't freedom. It's aesthetic slavery. They've taken your joy and turned it into content. You don't do what you love. You sell what you love. And in the process, you lose it. Not all success is hollow. There is a version of success that feels like alignment. It's slower, quieter, but deeper. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't need applause. It's the kind of success that comes from doing what is right, not what is rewarded. From creating beauty, not chasing metrics. From living truthfully, even when no one sees. This success won't make headlines, but it will give you back your life. What if your metrics weren't money or fame, but alignment and honesty? What if success wasn't measured in numbers, but in how deeply you can live without lying to yourself? That's terrifying, because it means giving up the game you were trained to play. But it's also liberating, because for the first time, you get to define success on your terms. And when you define it, you can finally stop chasing. You can finally arrive, and maybe for the first time in your life, you can finally rest. They don't want you to hear this, because a person who no longer chases can't be manipulated. A person who no longer craves applause can't be controlled. A person who defines success inwardly can't be bought. And that's dangerous, not to you, but to the world that profits from your anxiety. This message won't go viral. It's too honest, but it's yours now. And once you see the lie, you can never unsee it. But seeing the lie isn't enough. You need something to replace it with. Our journey is not complete yet. In the next part, we'll uncover a radical redefinition of success, not based on what you have, but who you become, and why the only true success is living a life you no longer need to escape. What if success didn't mean more? What if it meant less? Less noise, less pretending, less chasing. Not the life that makes others jealous, but the life that makes you breathe easier. The world doesn't celebrate that, because it's not flashy, it can't be flaunted. But that kind of success saves lives, quietly. It's the peace of a man who doesn't need to impress. It's the joy of someone who wakes up without dread. It's the quiet pride of a life built from truth. Here's a new definition. Success is when your outer life reflects your inner values. Not what your parents wanted, not what your boss rewards, not what society promotes, but what you know is right. Success is when your calendar matches your soul, when you can say no without guilt, when your yes actually means yes. That's the real flex. To live aligned, to live awake, to live without the quiet ache of betraying yourself. Redefining success comes with a cost. You will be seen as lazy, ungrateful, unambitious. People will say you gave up because they don't understand what you gave up on. You didn't quit the race because you were weak. You quit because you saw it was going nowhere. They'll call it failure, but in time you'll recognize it for what it is: freedom. There's a success that doesn't show up on Instagram. No one claps for it. No one puts it in a portfolio, but it's real. Choosing rest over resentment. Choosing depth over performance. Choosing silence over proving. There's a reason wise people go quiet. It's not because they're defeated. It's because they've outgrown the noise. They've realized that real success isn't a life that looks good. It's a life that feels real. Stillness is rebellion. In a world screaming at you to do more, be more, prove more, stillness is a threat. Because a still person can't be seduced by false urgency. A still person sees through the chaos. And when you become still, you become dangerous. Because you're no longer reacting, you're no longer chasing, you're choosing. And that's the one thing they never wanted you to do. There's one last shift to make. Stop thinking about success as getting. Start thinking about it as giving. Not in a martyr way, but in a soulful, aligned way. What are you here to offer? What lights you up that also lights up the world? Schopenhauer said, compassion is the basis of morality. Maybe success isn't about climbing the mountain alone. Maybe it's about building bridges so others can rise too. Success doesn't have to be selfish. It can be sacred. This is your permission slip to stop running, to stop proving, to stop sacrificing peace for performance. You can rewrite success. You can change the rules. You are not a brand. You are not a product. You are not a number on a screen. You are a soul in motion. And that is enough. You don't need the whole world's applause, just your own quiet yes. But here's the final twist. Even your new definition of success can become a trap. Now ask yourself, are you ready for the real change? In the last part, we'll confront the shadow side of even soulful ambition and explore how true freedom comes, not from redefining success, but from releasing the need for it entirely. Even when you redefine success, it can still enslave you. You start to crave authenticity, but then perform it. You chase alignment, but obsess over whether you feel aligned enough. You start comparing your unchained life to others still in chains. The ego is sneaky. It will turn even your rejection of success into a new kind of competition. So be careful. Your soul doesn't want to win. It wants to wake up. The truest form of success is no longer needing success to feel whole. Not because you've given up, but because you've grown out of the game entirely. This is where all the sages end up. Not in castles, not in crowds, but in stillness, in clarity, in simplicity. Because the more you remember who you are, the less you need to decorate it. You become deeply okay with simply being. That's not failure. That's freedom. Society shows you ladders. Climb, achieve, ascend. But life isn't a ladder. It's a garden. It's not about being above others. It's about growing where you are. Nourish your roots, tend your soil, be patient with your blooming, and trust that what's meant for you will find you, not because you chased it, but because you stopped running from yourself. You don't need to prove it anymore. You don't need to keep up. You don't need to earn your existence. Let them chase. Let them climb. You can rest now, because the deepest success is coming home to yourself. Now ask yourself honestly, what have you been chasing that was never yours to begin with? And what would your life look like if you finally stopped? Let us know in the comments. And if this message pierced something real in you, click the like button so it can reach someone else who needs it too. For more bold, soul-cutting psychology like this, join our community of people walking towards the light. Subscribe and click the notification bell to never miss new insights. Until next time, keep shining, not to be seen but to see.